Hello again, and welcome to all of you. My name is Luce Garrigues, and I'm the director of London Art Week Digital. Tonight, we are very proud to introduce London Art Week's new sponsor, Colnaghi Tectus Insurance. Colnaghi CEO Jorge Coll and Franz Ihm, owner of Tectus Insurance, have joined forces and knowledge to advise their clients. So for the launch of this new venture, and in conjunction with London Art Week, they will discuss a fascinating topic. How do dealers and insurance companies deal with the rediscovery of long-lost masterpieces? Over the years, London Art Week's dealers have shown many discoveries. So it is with great excitement that we have Jorge and Franz speaking to us today about the necessary research and the role that modern technologies play in a new attribution. Franz will explain further what this actually means for insurance companies and how they are dealing with the transition from an unattributed painting to the work of a well-known artist. So if you have any questions during the session, please, you can ask any questions in the Q&A box that is at the bottom of your screen. And at the end of the session, of the conversation, Jorge and Franz will answer your questions. I shall now hand over to Jorge, and he will take us on this journey. Thanks.
Thank you, Luce. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you, the London Art Week team, that they always do an excellent job. I think that people, especially on the last two editions, they've seen the digital, but there's a lot of work behind. There's an amazing team, and I think that we are growing as an event, and I'm very grateful for that, especially this year, because again we've made some sales digitally, and that's also thanks to the London Art Week team. So thank you very much. And I know that I'm speaking also for Franz. It's an honor to be sponsoring the London Art Week, and also a pleasure to be able to talk about this very interesting matter. And I hope that everybody enjoys it. So I think that we were talking with Franz, and we wanted to give certain, to give a landing of how, a dealership and an insurance company decided to work together. And there's actually one reason. You're going to see a photo right now that Pauline is going to show, and you can see this beautiful and amazing float in Venice. Franz and I, we've been working for many years together. Always, it's been a pleasure, but especially this year, 2019, we did a very nice project in Venice, in the Abbazia of San Gregorio. And unfortunately, on the last month, in November, we had one of the biggest floats. It's called Acqua Alta. Actually, all of a sudden, because usually there's this kind of app that can advise you when you're going to have a float like this, but this one was different because it was like a little tsunami. And suddenly what you're seeing is 1.5 meter of water inside of our exhibition, and it was actually terrifying. And I have to say that Franz called us immediately and say, I just learned about the Acqua Alta and I want to know how can I help. And that for me was very touching, because in a moment like this, when you have water up to your up to your belly, and you don't know really what to do, to have the phone call of your insurer saying, don't worry, we're going to help you, we're going to send you funds, and then we'll see how we deal with this, was really something different. After many years, I could expect that from France, but it's difficult to find an insurance company that really reacts like this. And I decided that I wanted to know more how they were working, and after those conversations, we decided that we could work together. I would like also Franz to give him a little bit of an idea of what he was thinking in that moment when we were having 1.5 meter of water. What takes you to call me in that moment?
Well, I was imagining that you stand there in these boots and trying to rescue art and try to get things out of there. Well, I think practically when we do insurance, it's always, you sit in front of your desk and try to get the paperwork done and try to get the things moving. And especially when a claim happens, you have certain steps and you need to check what's damaged, how is it damaged, etc. So it's taking a very long time, or it can take a very long time until everything is settled. But we think the first thing is to, when you have the shocking moment, we try to get our clients on the phone or try to see what happened, and try to get as much load off their shoulders in the first moment, because you have other things to worry about when something like that happens.
Definitely my case, because that was 2 days with 1 meter of water, and I really appreciate that. And then, I really thought that you have a kind of an understanding what the dealer need, and that, somehow we could start working together and try to develop even a better service. Obviously, Colnaghi, it's been around for a while, and you also, and I thought that, by joining forces, we could really give my understanding of the insurance market is that it's very competitive. Everybody's offering great insurance, and it's also a competition about price. But I think that with this joint venture, we can really work on a different level of services. We, through the expertise of the dealership, through Colnaghi and your expertise, we can combine our strength and give a completely different angle to this. We will, just for people, for our audience to know, and then we will go more into specific matters. But the idea of having a professional team giving an appraisal of your collection, so at least also you have an update knowledge of what are you insuring and how much should be insured, or in the case that there's a loss, having somebody who's an expert taking care of the restorations. I think that this is something that from now we can do with Franz, because we know how to restore, we know how to appraise, and Franz knows how to deal with with the losses and all the legal part of it. So we are in a very good position, and we thought obviously that the London are weak, because it's a combination of a big community of dealers, museums, collectors, that we could really start and launch our joint venture there. Obviously, we will be very happy to receive any questions, but this is really our intention, to give a much more human approach, like the one I had in the Abbazia, and at the same time, for my colleagues, I know which are exactly their needs, because I have the same. And for the collectors, having the idea that somebody can make you an appraisal, and then at the same time, if something happens, to have somebody taking care of the restorations, I think it's something that can make the difference. So we're very excited, Franz. We hope to be able to gain many of the colleagues. How many London Art Week exhibitors you have already under your umbrella?
Well, quite some, and I'm always happy when we get approached by some of your colleagues, also collectors. Let's actually our background. Let's say we're specialized for insurance services, for art dealers, galleries, collections, collectors, museums, and so on. And yeah, it's always a perfect example when we can talk about the claim. And unfortunately, sometimes claims are also very complicated and may take long, as I said. But in a way, when working with a client relationship, I think always behind that is, in a way, is trust. So trust is the key element. So when both parties trust each other, you can do things quickly. You can talk about things on the phone, okay, how it works. And trust, of course, comes when you know somebody, already over time, as we know each other, and of course, I mean, Colnaghi, I knew already much longer than I know you, because yeah, you know, you learned about it during studies, whatever. It's a very old company, and that's the element, because trust in a client relationship on the insurance side is something like, I mean, we cannot know all our clients that much, and the clients cannot know us that much. But trust is also that comes by expertise, by being able to offer additional information, additional expertise in various fields. And that's, Jorge, also the basis what we want to create with our Colnaghi Tectus cooperation, to give people the solution for various questions. If it's valuation, if it's questions about conservation, modes to sell, perhaps, how to buy good things, how to do research perfectly, and from our side, of course, to add the expertise on the insurance side, claims side, and how to structure insurance in the right way. And that's a bit the topic of today, how to structure insurance for a dealer when you know, this kind of miracle happens. You have something on stock, and all of a sudden you do your research, and the thing increases immensely in value. You know, that's what you normally see in films, no?
That's what I think that people have signed in today, to be able to understand what is the magic, let's say, beyond when we are trying as dealers, and we have an image that maybe Pauline can share with us, which is the famous Caravaggio that it's been discovered in Madrid, that Colnaghi has been involved. Obviously, as everybody knows, this painting was well, estimated for 1,500 euros, and suddenly, well, the family didn't know about their value, they didn't know what they had, and you know, through our expertise, we kind of opened their eyes. And obviously, what we think, it needs to be, for sure, needs to be demonstrated. So it's something that it's a work in progress, and it's a very delicate, let's say, process, and it takes time. But at the same time, you know, potentially the painting has a really important value. We're talking about the last Caravaggio in private hands with a royal provenance. Of course, you know, if we are able to demonstrate, which is our instinct, then we kind of consolidate the value. But in the process, we need to insure it. And how we do that, and which is the right price. So that's where, you know, an experienced combination of both can help, can understand which is the process, which are the real options. And well, I mean, Franz has been dealing with this before, and which are the, let's say, the steps that you follow when you have a situation like this?
Well, let's say the first thing is the trust part that I was talking about. So first, we need to believe you in what you had been finding, and to believe, of course, in the expertise, and we know that it's everything is done in the right way. Basically, from the insurance side, it means more or less to raise the value of a painting from one day to another by a lot, basically. So from the insurance side, it's actually not that problem. You just raise the amount and charge more premium for it. So it's always good. But that's the case if it comes to a loss. So basically, it needs to be like certain proof, and the expertise need to be done in the right way, and to have, you know, the part of the provenance right, and the quality of the piece. But also on the other side, a very important part is to know the conservational state of the work. So to also know how, in which state is the work. Does it need restoration? Is it in very good shape? And to also produce what we call a kind of facility report. And that brings me also to a very interesting topic, as Jorge, you're also working on high-end photography of the pieces and digitalization of the pieces, which is, from the insurance side, of course, perfect, because you know the state of the artwork at a certain point of time. Perhaps Jorge, could you tell us a little bit about that too?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I can't talk for this painting in particular, but in general, obviously the attributional process is something which is very attached to all the London Art Week exhibitors. We are kind of experts. We study, we try to discover, and the sleeper, it's one of the words that it's in our dictionary, and we actually, just as an example, yesterday there was Divino Morales coming up for 10,000 that fetched 1.2 million. And that, kind of shows the kind of work that we need to do to understand the real value. And that's why how we can combine your expertise with ours. Our expertise, it's everyday based. Obviously there's studying, there's a lot of going to museums, understanding the quality. But then right now there are more things like, reflectography, like X-rays, pigments, all of these kind of different angles that we can see if there are pendimentis, we can see which is the dating of a panel, we can see, how it's the underdrawing. All of these, they lead you to take an opinion, and these are things that every day we have more and more layers, and they're very useful. And I think that also gives us some certainty that we can add to our own expertise, to our own eye. There's a lot of people saying about, what is the eye, the connoisseurship, or, what it's about studying. Right now for us, because we really think that it's a combination of all of them, we're taking this very seriously, and we have joined Tectus, we have joined Factum, which is for me the most amazing company working on the preservation and digitalization of the art world. And with them, you can do also, it's amazing the work that they do on scanning the surface, and you have really the exactly millimeter scanning of the surface that can also help you to read very well the condition of the painting. And again, all of this really helps and give more data to the experts to take their own decisions. So I think that, right now we're going through a very important part of the digitalization of the art world. And on the years to come, we will have more and more tools, more reliable. And of course, the expertise, me as a dealer and as a partner of the London Art Week, it's the first thing, but then all of this, it's a great help. So I think that the combination of all of them makes you have this trust that you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Because actually, that's what always insurance needs is information, because it's in a way it's a virtual product. So you need information to work with, and reliable information, and that's actually what we try to make easy for our clients to have, in a way, a one-stop shop, to not have somebody come for the photos, organize themselves. So to take care that insurance gets the information itself what they need. And yeah,
we have the first questions. Let's go from the easiest to the more difficult. Who's a dearest colleague and good dealer, is asking, do you also operate in the US market? So I think that so far we are still not operating in the US market.
Not completely operating, and it depends a bit on which state. So yeah, but perhaps if you're interested, we can have a one-to-one talk afterwards.
Yeah. Sorry, I have a lot of calls. Miguel, it's just that we right now, again, if we can have Franz and myself a call with you, it's in our agenda, and we can, obviously I have my gallery in New York. I'm also covered by Franz for sure. So there's ways around it, and we're very happy to work with you. Then we have quite a similar question. Can Colnaghi Tectus insure collections in the UK as well as in Europe? Are there any Brexit-related issues to keep in mind?
No, actually not. That's something that we also see as a service to our clients, to being able to serve them wherever they are, basically, and let's say the legal stuff behind it. We have solutions for that. So it's for the client, it's a kind of one solution only.
Okay. Then,
in a way that I just saw that there are these questions on the way of the collections or smaller or bigger businesses, and perhaps to summarize these two questions that are going in the same direction. It's actually let's say insurance for art or high value objects is something important for the objects. It's to have them covered in the right way, and we have solutions for bigger and smaller collections and businesses. So there is nothing too small.
This is actually related to the next question, which is Colnaghi Tectus offering only for big dealers, or do they offer policies for those with relatively small businesses?
No, of course we offer for everybody, and have good solutions for, let's say, smaller businesses. Good.
Just for there's an anonymous question, so I don't know the name, but I think that this has answered the question. Then we have Miles Cato saying, how do you deal with pictures when the expertise attribution is contested? So what happens when the painting that was meant to be whatever, Rivera or Valentine de Boulogne is not by the artist?
Well, it's a very interesting question, because actually Jorge, for you as a dealer, it's something that will happen a lot. That you get expertise from 2 or 3 different experts, and they come up with different things. So practically it means look through the expertise, look into the contest, what are the arguments in one or the other direction, and then you probably need to dig deeper into it and inform yourself and do more research on it. That's basically what
well, in the
I think.
Obviously, from Colnaghi Tectus, we can let's say insure not only on masters but also modern and contemporary, which mainly it's easier in terms of the attribution. And with the attribution, there's always sometimes back and forwards, but the idea is that there's a premium, and that we will go through the catalog entry, and then we can discuss with the owners. That's part of the idea of having Colnaghi joining Tectus, to have a better understanding precisely what's happening with the attribution, because that's our daily basis. Then we have another question. I think this is more for me. Are there any real difficulties with the export licenses as soon as you get the artwork expertise with the attribution? Well, right now, I think that, especially in countries like in Spain and in Italy, the export license needs to be very precise. So, my recommendation is that when you ask for an export license, you need to really ask the export license under the name of the real attribution. There's people who ask for the export license and then go through the attributional process. I think that the law is what it is, and of course, a painting which is I don't know, by Reni, it's much more difficult to go out of the country, leave the country, than anonymous Bolognese painting. So, but again, in the case of Italy, if you export a painting with an attribution, they have 18 months to kind of reject the export license, and it doesn't make sense to export something studied later and then, you know, raise the attribution and have problems. So this is what it is. I mean, it's how it works. You need to make your attributional work and then ask the export license and follow the rules. We have Lydia Sudik that wants us to go to Palm Beach, which I have to confess I've never been there. So I'm sure, have you been there, Franz?
No, okay, not yet, but thank you very much for the invite. We will follow.
Yeah,
definitely.
We need to go. Treble Hills, how do you clarify the arguments? So if there's a dispute on the attribution, which would be our position, how do we stand there? There might be the case, there are masterpieces that, let's say, for instance, the Leonardo sold at Christie's. There's some people saying that it's by Leonardo, other people who are saying that not. Which is the position of the insurance in that regard?
Well, it's the question, which of the experts you believe. I think it follows that either you find another expert that can go into this case, so kind of third opinion. In a way, as Jorge said, it's what we are trying to also supply in our cooperation. I mean, Colnaghi has a fantastic library where you can do research so practically look through the arguments, see what's in it, and yeah, then decide for a direction. But let me say also, in a way, it's the arguments of the experts, but there is also the market. And latest, when the piece gets into a sale and is sold, then you see what the market says and what the market believes. And that's in a way a kind of additional argument to the whole thing, unless it gets burned before.
Miles Cato is saying, is your basis of final valuation generally based on auction valuations or what the dealer would ask? Or it's likely to be a combination of both. This is a question that the dealer would make, because obviously our retail prices and the estimates of auctions, they are usually different. I think that, as you say, it's a combination of both, because, you know, we need to be responsible unless it's very clear. And that's where, you know, also, as just Franz was saying, the advice of Colnaghi is important. We are dealers, we buy at auction. This, you know, today there was this auction putting an estimate of 10,000 for a Morales, and it make 1.2 million, which most probably is going to be sold for 2 million. So that's where, I mean, we will try to help as much as we can to get the price right and to get somehow into a middle ground where everybody's happy. It's a responsible price, and then at the same time, it's something that makes sense to the market.
Yeah, and in a way, the basis of valuation is also practically when we talk about insurance, we have to not think only in the insurance part, but keep in our mind that it's part of risk management. So it means when you have a business or when you are a collector, you will not only have insurance, you will have an intruder alarm, you probably have fire protections, you will at least lock your door when you go outside. So it's the evaluation of risks that can happen to you. And in the end, insurance is just the decision of passing the risk of something to happen to the insurer, and therefore pay a premium for it. And that means that insurance is something that it's not a fixed thing. So like a fixed contract that you need to take, you can if we do a contract, we can do it to your needs. So you say, okay, I want to have the sales price insured, or I want to have the purchase price insured, as well as decide perhaps not have all risks insured, just insure against fire whatever. There are various options. And what I want to say about that is that insurance is always a part of the whole risk assessment that may be your needs in a business or in a collection.
The point is that this is the first time that there's a kind of course, you as an insurer, like every other insurance company, they have their relationship with experts. So there's always a very responsible relationship to give the best expertise for the clients. But this is, I think that the first time that this is really an official combination of efforts between a long-standing dealership and an insurance. No, I don't. Well, I mean, in my knowledge, there's nobody else doing this, and that's why I think that some of these questions are done by colleagues like Mirel or like Miles, or and that's the point, that you're going to be talking directly to somebody who understands your needs, because we are part of the same team, and I wouldn't have somehow partner Franz if I wouldn't feel comfortable that he would understand the needs of the dealers. And that's why I think that we can be in a way a good response to what the market needs. And of course then we will have I've seen that it's Morlin Ellis, it's in our audience, she's working at the Auckland Castle project, which is also an amazing project. So we're also willing to work with museums. So, we also understand, between myself, I sold to 50 museums in my career, Colnaghi most probably for more than 100. So we also understand the dynamics, we understand what is an exhibition, what it takes to hang an exhibition, the traveling, the packaging, all of these things. And when there's a damage, it's something that has happened for us in the last 25 years. So we are able to measure that and to have a very kind of direct approach to it. And I hope that we can be able to show this expertise soon to many of our colleagues. Okay, it is possible to insure against the downgrading of a picture as a sort of a reverse slipper. More interesting. You mean like a loss? This would be like, could you insure us when there's like something happens, there's a leak, and then let's say the pristine condition of a painting gets affected? How do you work in those cases?
Well, we need to differentiate between just the downgrading by having new expertise done and revoking some older expertise, which happens every now and again. Or is it like the downgrading of the pictures? Is it a kind of loss in value after an insured event? And when we talk about insurance for fine art, that's definitely something that needs to be part of it. If a damage happens to an artwork and it needs restoration, that after restoration, of course, there is a loss in value, or can happen, which often is a big discussion in insurance, that also the depreciation can be that high that it's actually a total loss. That insurers never hear that or never really want to go in that direction, but it's practically that. Yeah, it's it. On the other hand, insuring, I mean, it's practically, in a way, it's always possible to insure everything. So you can always find a solution. The question is just, in the end, do you want to pay the premium for something like that?
There's always, a combination that can work. So this is the question of Miles. He's working on a specific kind of example. Is what happens. It's a Rembrandt which becomes downgraded to studio. I mean, as my part of this joint venture, first we should, before we start insuring the painting, we should understand, if we're talking about the Rothschild's Rembrandts, well, maybe that's too easy. We should look, which are the publication, which is the literature, which is the expertise. And then obviously when we go down to that insurance, is because we believe in the painting. who has downgraded and how, and if it's just like something that has happened in an auction. We wouldn't understand that such a downgrading. If there's a problem with the expertise, maybe we could even able to help in that direction to kind of mediate how that can happen. We can also help, and that's part of the service. If we're making appraisals and we are trying to talk which are the right experts or which are the experts who are kind of respected in the art world or in the market. So that's also already part of trying to anticipate these problems. And of course, if we can, if somebody feels that that can be a problem, then I think that there's more work to be done before we go into the insurance. So this could be something, again, most close to a dealer side. It's where, look, I'm going to buy a painting for a Rembrandt for 2-3 million, but I want to make sure that, even if the scholarship is right, that there won't be any change of wind in the next 5-10 years. That would be something that we would study, and then obviously Franz, who's an expert, would create a scheme to cover that, and then we would see. I hope that that answers the question.
Absolutely, yeah, I think so.
What's
also?
Go ahead. Maybe you want to add something.
No. Actually, that was it. That's fine.
Is it common to have negotiation between dealer and insurer in order to get the right insurance price?
Well, in a way, yes. It's not so much a negotiation between, like you would have between a dealer and a client, especially when it's a high value. Normally, you would go for a kind of scheme that is used in general for the dealer's stock, which makes it easier because you don't have to list each and every piece. Especially when it comes to insurance, the important thing you need is to have an insurance that is working all of the time, and as a client you don't have to do a lot of administration. So you don't really want to send lists and updates of whatever to the insurance company. That's that wouldn't work, because you have other things to do the whole day. But in a way, of course, when you have a high value painting, you will fix a value together with the insurance for this piece. So you know exactly if something happens, that's the value that is insured. And that makes it secure for all parties involved, because it might be that you have a client giving a work as a commission or a loan to an exhibition or whatever.
I think that answers the question. More questions. As somebody involved in the art market, the politics of which experts are seen as credible and which are not must be very tricky. Well, that's a tricky question. No, I mean, I think once you are in the art market for a while, I think that everybody knows who are respected expert and which are not. It's not a decision of one person, but it's the art market taking the word on it, and this happens all the time. I think that when it comes down to important painters, there's not only one expert, there are many of them, or you have the case of Rubens where you have the Rubenianum. Sometimes when it comes down to specific painters and museums, like if you talk about Velázquez, it could be the Prado. So, it's quite fixed. Nobody decides who are the best experts. I think that the trajectory and the track record of the experts made themselves reliable or not. And this can change in time. But, if you ask around, people kind of know who are the experts that you want into your attribution. I hope that answers the question.
And I think it was the last question, no?
I think so. We promised 30 minutes, so we've been already 45. That means that, we have a lot to talk, but we're going to have for anybody who has any question, you can send emails to contact@colnaghitectus.com, or just ring Colnaghi or Tectus. You will find us our web pages. Actually, we have one last question, and we're happy to. A dealer finds a picture they believe to be a sleeper and therefore worth a lot more than they paid, but it needs cleaning and research before being assessed by the relevant expert. This can take months. What is the insurance situation in the meantime? Again, this is a little bit what we started talking. That's why Franz and I decided to work together. We've been, we are very familiar to this process because we've been doing it our entire career, and we sit down, and if it's a really very important thing, we can look into it and see which are really the chances, and then taking into account our experience, then we would kind of draw which is the kind of policy you need and which would be the amount that you should pay. I've done it like this with Franz many years, and it has worked. And it's how it works. It's the only way. So maybe, Franz, we will be experts on sleepers. This is
perhaps it's a good field for the future.
No, but again, it's a combination. As Franz talked, there's everything that can be insured. He has a great expertise to find solutions to different cases. And at Colnaghi, we're just here to help. Of course, we are not part of the expertise because we are dealers. We're not experts. We can help with our experience, trying to be close to the dealers. Try to help with Franz if he has any question, and then if there's any kind of issue, step in and try to help as much as we can. Okay, so
and I think perhaps to the end, I also want to thank London Art Week for this format of talk, because especially from our side, insurance is something very virtual and also quite abstract to explain. And I'm happy about the talk because together with you, Jorge, it makes it something, to see what real life insurance questions mean and how is it in relation to the real artworks that are handled every day. So thank you very much.
Thank you all. And we see you hopefully, in the December London Art Week all together. And we miss all our audience. We had some good audience, we make some good sales, but nothing compares to see all our colleagues and clients again in our galleries. So have a good one, nice happy holidays, summer holidays, and we'll see you in December. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.